excited to do this evening. How many of you know your thinking can very often get in the way? How many of you think that you may have a hamster cage in your head? You know how they cycle, you know, and they're getting great exercise, but they're not getting anywhere. Yeah? Yeah. So in the exploration of thoughts, all of which are based in our belief system. So anything that's going through your head is based in your belief system. Make sense? How else would it be there? So when we're exploring thoughts, we're also exploring our belief system. They're a manifestation of that. They're just shooting off all the time. It's really intriguing to me that we explore and become conscious of our beliefs, because often we're not. We just operate out of them. They are our GPS, but we don't really see the map. You know, we just operate out of it. So conscious exploration of the belief system is something we're really good at Wings. Right? How many of you have heard yourself say, I can't do that? And then there's always a because. And then will come the rationale. I don't have enough. So what are some of the things I don't have enough of? What do you think?
Money.
Time.
Money, time. There are two big American reasons for not having a life. What else?
Education. Support.
I don't have enough education. I don't have enough support. I don't have enough guts. We got miles of them, I think.
Talent.
In actuality. I don't have enough talent. You know, I mean, we have lots of reasons. It takes too long to... Takes too long for what?
Accomplish a goal.
To accomplish a goal, to go to school.
I'll be too old by then.
To network with the right people. I'll be too old. Yeah. The other one's on it takes too long. It takes too long to exercise.
Oh, yeah.
And it really takes too long to lose weight. I mean, we don't ever think about how long it took to put it on. But how many of you have wanted immediate results? Well, I only ate a Triscuit. Or I should have lost weight today, you know, and all that stuff. I'm not something enough. I'm not something enough. What would be the something?
Stable.
I'm not stable enough.
Smart.
Not smart enough.
Strong enough.
Not strong enough.
Attractive.
Not attractive enough. Ooh. I didn't do that one.
Really?
So now there's something missing in me. So I'm not something enough. How did I get here anyway? How many of you have said that to yourself? How did I get here? I don't get it. You know, I've just been da-da-da-da-da. Well, it's amazing how each choice we make leads us to where we're getting. And when we're operating out of our beliefs and thoughts unconsciously, we're going to meander and very often not get where we really want to go. Okay? So when you say those things to yourself, I can't do that because I'm not enough, it takes too long, what do you usually do?
You don't change.
Nothing. Isn't that right? Because we have the reason, I'm not smart enough, so why take the risk? I'm not attractive enough, so why go into a relationship? So very often we'll hang out with our reasons instead of creating the results we really want in our lives. And what's the impact?
Regret.
Regret. Stuck. Settling for less than you really want. Depression. Isn't this feeling great already? You know, depression, giving up, it's really, really sad. And it's all based in our thoughts, the power of our thoughts to free us or entomb us inside of our belief system. So tonight is going to be really, really fun, unless it's not. So I'm going to repeat, every thought is a reflection of our belief system. It's really important to hold that in there. And guess who created that belief system?
You did.
Yeah, I did. I created my belief system. Now, I didn't know I was creating my GPS. I didn't know it at the time, but it was what I was doing through my interpretation of events, what my parents told me. How many of you have said, I'm never going to do it the way my parents did it? And then you had kids, and you heard yourself saying exactly what your parents said to you. Yes? Well, you're saying exactly what's in your database. You know, your reactions, your responses, all that kind of stuff. So we don't know we're making up beliefs when we are, and we operate out of them all the time. So what do you think of when I say the event is neutral?
Facts are just facts, and we apply emotions to our reactions.
So here's the thing,
And that's just a fact.
and we look at it, yeah, it just is. It's an isness thing. You know, there's a car on fire. It's just a car on fire. Now we'll say that's terrible, it's unfair, it shouldn't have happened. Thank God it's burned up, I can get a new one. You know? I mean, so here's the power of our thoughts in interpreting those events that will lead to emotional responses. So how many of you think, you know, we've talked about a long time ago, brainwashing was this terrible thing. How many of you realize that your brain could use a little laundering? You know, by your own hand, not by outside forces, because brainwashing is thought of as outside forces I'm monkeying with my head. But to be able to cleanse my belief system so that I'm looking at the world through my true beliefs rather than ones that have been handed down to me or imposed upon me, my parents, my church, my school, my third grade teacher. I love my third grade teacher. So self-cleaning of it, self-cleaning response is very powerful. So this morning, when I was thinking about the evening, I realized that there are many, many things that Wings is really, really good at. And two of them are pretty outstanding. One is helping people get clear about what they want to change. How many of you grads realize that's been part of your process? About what you want to change. And number two is how to change it. Those are really powerful things, aren't they? And we do a lot of other stuff really well too. And those are like really key in this whole system of thought. So how many of you know that in the past you've had a strong sense of what you wanted to change, but you didn't know how to do it? So did you do it? Probably not. Practicing in the closet, you know, all that kind of stuff. And sometimes we do, but very often, if we don't know what to do, we don't want to make a mistake. We don't want to look foolish. So very often we'll just keep thinking about it instead of doing anything about it. So then you end up settling for less than what you really want. Yeah. And that's so delightful. So in order to know what beliefs you want to change, you've got to know what they are. You've got to know what they are. Now, one of my friends who was a rocket scientist said something very, very profound to me. I said to somebody, you know, this isn't rocket science, which is, it's not that complicated and all that stuff. And he looked at me and said, Kris, I want you to know rocket science isn't even rocket science. You know? It's our beliefs about rocket science that make it scary and all that kind of stuff. It was like, whoa, you know, that's a pretty neat thing. So in our, by what we do, we reinforce that, or don't do. Very often this is a don't do. Or a forceful thing, I've got to be perfect, and we exhaust ourselves. You know, by striving, all that stuff. So Bruce Lipton's book, Biology of Belief. He says, our responses to environmental stimulus are indeed controlled by perceptions, but not all of our learned perceptions are accurate. So all of our learned perceptions are not accurate. They can be based on faulty data. So one of the ways to test it is to do something different and see if we get a different response than we expected. Yeah. Cool. That's what Wings is all about. We help create an environment where you can test these things. So one of the things about beliefs is they're all made up. I loved it when you said, the sky is blue and it's shining. He says it's green, and he was so invested in it, you believed him. Yeah. So they're all made up. We're trying to understand a mystery that we live inside of. So beliefs change because we're trying to figure things out, and they will always change. Who is it that I was listening to? Oh, the guy. I highly recommend a YouTube video. It's called Sugar, the Bitter Truth. Please watch it. It will give you information about the use of sugar in your body and in this country, in the world, that is startling and very, very powerful. He said, right now I'm presenting the latest factual information. 5 years from now, somebody else will be up here telling me something different. But right now, this is what we know is true. So things change. So what are some ways to change beliefs? I mentioned one before, which was you have an event that seems traumatic, and over a little bit of time, you look back and go, you know, that's the best thing that ever happened to me. So we actually have evidence in our life by something happening. It actually strengthens us in some way, and we start doing better behavior. How many of you know you have done that? Here's an example of a refrain. It's something that helps us see something a different way. So they can be positive or they can be negative. Cynics are very good at negative reframing. You'll say something really positive, and what will they do? It's not like that, it's like this. They'll nail it and turn it into something. Isn't that fun to be around? Not really. So I shared this in NLP this past week. There's this woman, and she's just like, loves to have her shag carpet vacuumed in rose. You know, the rose, the way it goes, and all that kind of stuff. And she's a meticulous housekeeper, and she's got little kids. And she was complaining about how she would just get the vacuuming done in the living room. And her little kids would come running in with the neighbors and all that kind of stuff, so happy to see their mom. They just jumped on her and loved on her, and they'd run into the kitchen and get a snack. And the person who was working with her said, isn't it wonderful that you have powerful visual evidence of how many kids love you and what a safe place your home is? All she was seeing was the track, messing up with the track, and this person, and she went, right. You know, that's a reframe. How many of you had, when you were little kids, your dad or your mom was always at work? Yeah? And did any of you see that as a negative experience? Yeah, could be. So another, you know, mom and dad are always at work, or mom or dad is always at work. I don't think I'm important to them.
So Kris, are you
That's a
saying,
negative, so that's a negative statement. So hold on, here's the reframe. Your mom or your dad must really want you to feel supported by having the things you need. It's really different than thinking because they're at work, I'm unsupported.
so that's kind of what I was thinking, like positive beliefs, you should think of a positive impact.
Yeah.
And because sometimes I think my positive beliefs have negative impacts, and my negative beliefs have positive impacts. So should I be seeing the positive impacts?
No, I was just talking about a way of shifting a belief. So you can shift beliefs from negative to positive by reframing, or from positive to negative by reframing. It's just how you're looking at it.
So what does it mean when you have a positive belief that has a negative impact?
So give me an example.
You know, I believe that, like one of these, money is stability. It gives me opportunity. It gives me and my kids opportunity.
Uh-huh.
But the negative impact is I'm working full time. I don't have a lot of time to spend with my kids. I'm stressed out. They don't have, mom all the time. It's negative to me. But to me, I think it's positive because they'll be able to, go on the 8th grade Washington, D.C. trip, experience that. Or, play sports. Every season they get to play a sport. So to me, it's still positive. But to me, it's stressful.
And it's a loss.
Yes.
Okay. So have you asked your kids if they want that stuff?
Well, I never turn it down.
Well, I mean, it's an opportunity to talk with them and say, I really miss having time with you. And I wonder if I'm just realizing I'm at work all the time, so you can have certain things, and I'm missing time with you, and I want to know if you're missing time with me. Is there some way we can, alter this a little bit, that I have more time and you may not have as much stuff? It sounds like it would lead to a great conversation. Because you're doing what you think is the right thing to do because of your belief. Right? And you're gathering evidence now that that belief is good and it has negative impact. So what do I want to do about that negative impact area? That's a great example. Conversation with our kids is really important at a meaningful level. And then, so that was evidence. Oh, grow out of it. Just grow out of it. Cultural things like Santa Claus. Those beliefs are really kind of easy. The tooth fairy. We just kind of grow out of it. Somebody may tell you when you burst into tears, what do you mean Santa Claus isn't real? How many? There's so many. Oh, did I just ruin something? A lot of my son and his wife, they don't even talk about Santa Claus with the little kids, the 3-year-old, and they're not even talking about Christmas in that way because they don't want to demythicize it later. So, beliefs can change at that level too. It's pretty cool. So what we do at Wings is called conscious exploration. We consciously explore our belief system, what's working, what's not, and how we can change them. And tonight you saw the impact of your positive beliefs on your physiology, on your outlook, on your energy level. And you also saw and experienced the impact of your negative beliefs and what impact they have. What would you rather have? Yeah. Or even to find the positive in the negative.
I do.
Yeah. So this is again from Daniel Gilbert. To see is to experience the world as it is. To remember is to experience the world that was. But to imagine. To imagine is to experience the world as it isn't, and it never has been, but as it might be. Now, that could be both positive, correct? And I asked you about disaster films. It could be negative. The world might be really scary and frightening and all that, or the world may be this open and wonderful door to step through. Again, what would you rather have? And learning how to view your world and yourself in that way is a process.